Who are you? Where were you when I created the stars and the moons and the moon? Right? And where were you when this happened? And where were now? How dare you, think right? So I ask God all the time, right, to humble me so that I don't feel like how dare someone accuse me of something that I have not done, because that is one of my problems too. And so to have his friends tell him to his face that you are not what you say you are, that's like one of the worst feelings, because you know how hard you've tried to obtain a reputation and to get somewhere, and then for someone to tell you, you're right, like you think you're this, you think you're that, right? And that's something like we struggle with as Christians when we try to live a perfect life and people are like, you're right, now you know she doing some on the down low, right? And they talk about you because they can't really understand and believe and fathom that someone would be so righteous or so upright. Like, you have to be doing something wrong. You have to be, And it's not true. Obviously, we're all sinners and we all fall and we all sin. But how dare you see someone who's striving to do the right thing and to doubt them, right? Don't do that. Don't judge, right? And I hate when people do that. That's why when I see someone do something wrong, obviously I'm like, instead of judging like, oh my God, I'm like, God, have mercy. Actually, the first thing I say is, épargnez-nous. That's French for like, God forbid, right? Because God forbid for me, because you see them and what they do, but you don't know what their situation is, and you don't know if you're in that situation or what you would do, right? So I say, God forbid for me, and then I say, God help them to get out of what they're doing, right? And the reason why I don't judge too is because I would hate, the reason why I don't gossip and talk about people behind their back is because I would hate for someone to say something about me. You don't know what the person's doing. You don't know their life, right? So if you don't know their life, how dare you speak on their life, right? You're not in their bedroom. You're not in their their work, their school. You're not them. So you don't know what they think. You don't know what they're doing. So how dare you say, oh, I bet she's doing this. Don't do that, right? And because I don't like if someone was to do it to me, because I try hard to be the Christian that I'm supposed to be, right? In the ways that I'm supposed to be. So if someone was to doubt who I am, it would hurt. So in the same way, I don't doubt people. I only talk on what I see. And when I do, I always do it with compassion, right? And that's what God asks for. Still another element of bitterness was added to his cup. Oh, we already said that. However, Job did not blame God. He did not give up his claim to life, to a life of faithful service. Job understood, as we must, the selfishness, the unselfishness, the principle of God's kingdom is the principle that Satan hates. Its very existence he denies. Okay, so Job did not blame God, right? So all the things that Job went through, sorry, I'm trying to not get so much light. All the things he went through, all the things his friends said, he did not give up. He did not blame God, right? And then he says he did not give up his claim to a life of faithful service. So one of the things that people tend to do, and I hate this, right? This is what people do. They're not doing something wrong, right? And others think they're doing something wrong and tell them, I bet you're doing this or that. They know they're not doing it. But because someone thinks they're doing it, they're like, forget this. I wasn't doing it. Well, I'm going to do it now. Who does that? Don't do that. If you're living a righteous way and upright, and you have an upright character and people doubt you, who cares about their doubting? Don't go do the wrong thing because people think you're doing it. Well, they think I'm doing it anyway. Might as well do it. I'm not having any fun, and here they are thinking I'm doing it. Well, I might as well have my fun. Don't do that. Stick to your beliefs. Stick to your faith. Don't go and do the wrong thing because people think you're doing it. God will, in French, éclaircir, will enlighten people. He will have them to see who you really are. He will vindicate you. He will set everything to light. So don't go and do it because they said you're doing it. Because who are you hurting? You're not hurting them. You're hurting yourself. And you're hurting your image. You're hurting who you are as a person. Because if you've held on to a certain character for this long, that means you truly believe that's how you should be. The moment you deviate from that, the guilt will get to you. And you've just annihilated everything you worked for. Like people have worked, for example, to be a virgin, to not drink, to not steal, to not do all these things, right? And then, I don't know, they do something and a family member, a friend, church members, have ill opinions of them for whatever reason. And then they're like, well, they think I'm doing that, I might as well. No, you're just gonna mess up everything you worked for. And then you will never be able to stand in that person's face and say, see, in your face, that listen, I'm all about that. I'm all about in your face character. That's me. And my aunt taught me that. My aunt always taught me, when people talk bad about you, that's when you do your best, because you need to prove to them who you are and prove and show them how wrong they are. I'm always showing people how wrong they are about me. If you knew who I am and where I've come from in my life, this, when I became, was not what I was meant to be. But by the grace of God and the help of my aunt, this is what I am now. Because of that attitude, I'm going to show you. Oh, you think this? Oh, that's what you say? And I always say that. Anytime, I don't care who you are, my dad, my mom, my sister, my aunt, church members, friends. Anytime someone says something out of their mouth that doesn't sit well with me, I go straight to God. God, you heard that? Did you hear that? You need to undo this. I want you to do the total opposite of this. And that's just how I live. I never go and do something wrong because someone thinks I'm doing it. By the grace of God, that has not been my lot. I've always tried to live a life where, because my aunt always says, if you doubt it, don't do it. But obviously I'm not perfect. We're all human here, right? But when I doubt it, I don't do it. If it seems wrong, I don't do it, right? I stay away from the appearance of evil. And that's something that we have to work on, right? That's a work in progress. But if you're doing your best to do what's right and someone else thinks you're not, forget them. They don't really matter. That's the devil trying to put that seed in your heart and be like, doesn't matter anyway. They already think I'm doing it. What? Please, keep doing what you know to be right. Okay? We're moving on. I have to turn it on. My iPad turned off. Okay. So then the last part says, from the beginning of the great controversy, he has endeavored to prove God's principles of action to be selfish, and he deals in the same way with all who serves him. To disprove Satan's claim is the work of Christ and of all who bear his name. So, the goal of the devil is to prove that God is a nobody. He's a liar. He's a fake. He doesn't love us. Okay? So, but our goal is to prove to him he's a liar. He's a fake. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And God uses us to do that. We were made to glorify and magnify God, to show his glory and his greatness. The devil wants to undo that, to show that he's not good and he's not great. So then we were made to constantly prove the devil wrong. That's our whole soul and purpose in life. Glorify God by proving the devil wrong. So every time we do what the devil does or do what the devil tells us to do, we're saying the same as he's saying. God's a liar. He's a fake. He's not great. So we are part of the controversy. Believe it or not, wanting to be part of it or not, we're already in it because we were created to play a role in it. So he doesn't want us to serve God. The devil doesn't want us to glorify God. Our goal, our sole purpose is to do that. So if we don't glorify God, then our purpose is for naught. Like, what are you going to do if you don't? Because that's what you were created to do, right? So every time you're going to do something wrong, remember your purpose. Remember why you exist. We exist because God wanted us to give him glory. He wanted us to prove to the devil how wrong he was for denying him, right? So when you're faced with a trial and tribulation, and I think about this all the time, what are you going to have the angels say about you, right? Because everything you do, everything you think, everything you say is done before man and before the angels. The devil sees it, God sees it, and it will be written. What will be written about you? Were you on the side of God who was proving his greatness? Or were you on the side of the devil who was showing how wrong God is, how much of a liar he is, how there is no greatness in him, right? It's not easy, obviously, because this sinful thing is our nature. That's what we were born with. Like, once Adam and Eve sinned, every one of us after them would have the inclination, the strong desire to do what's wrong. But I always am so grateful, and I was saying this Saturday, that with every sin, God gives us the way of escape. It's up to us to find it. And it actually, we don't even have to find it. It's there, right? He doesn't say seek it. He says it's there. But we don't choose to take it. It's always a choice. What is your choice going to be? I pray that you choose to disprove Satan and approve God, right? Prove his goodness, prove his mercy, prove his love. And that is despite everything, whatever you're going through, pains, sorrows, good times, bad times. You need every action, every word, the whole person that you are should be a testimony of God's goodness, his grace, and his mercy. As such, there's no failure for you. You will be at the head, never at the tail. You will always be blessed. And you will be perfect. Despite that, you will still see trials and tribulations. Because you're following him, because you're proving his grace and mercies, does not mean you're exempt. As a matter of fact, you might see even more than most of us. Because the devil wants to show you can't hold on to that. You can't last long. You can't love him for long. You can't love him despite of all of this, right? So it's up to you to hold fast and to know that God has faith in you. He knows you can hold on because he's provided the tools for you to hold on by. He knew what you're going through, what would come. He knew about it, and he provided for it before, right? So hold on, be steadfast, keep doing what you know is right, and be blessed. Cheerio.